This album combined 80s hair metal with 80s dance pop in a way that nobody saw coming. This time around, we're going to be looking at the Power Station's debut album on Weekend Spin. Hey everybody, this is TJR. If this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. If not, welcome back. And welcome to another episode of Weekend Spin. This week, we're going to be going back to 1985 for the debut album by The Power Station. This is the debut self-titled album by the supergroup that featured bassist and guitarist Andy Taylor and John Taylor from Duran Duran, soul vocalist Robert Palmer, and drummer Tony Thompson. This album combined 80s dance grooves with heavy guitar riffs and 80s pop metal in a way that no one saw coming. This album was produced by Chic co-founder Bernard Edwards. The original plan for this one-off album was for the two Taylors and Thompson to record an album with a different singer on each track. Robert Palmer was originally brought in just to sing on the track Communication, and when he found out that they had laid down tracks for a cover of Get It On, Bang a Gong by T-Rex, he asked if he could give it a go. After hearing his performance, the rest of the band quickly realized that they didn't need anyone else to sing on the rest of the album. Side 1, Track 1, Some Like It Hot. Some like it hot and some sweat when the heat is on. This was the album's first radio and MTV hit. Reportedly, when bassist John Taylor first played the track for Robert Palmer, he told him, "We've got this idea that we're calling Some Like It Hot." Without missing a beat, Palmer responded back, "And some sweat when the heat is on." Bassist John Taylor remarked that the song was originally designed to showcase drummer Tony Thompson on drums, and it definitely does. But being the first song on the album, not to mention the track featured in the first music video, it also ended up showcasing guitarist Andy Taylor as a lead guitarist in a way that he hadn't previously been showcased in Duran Duran. Reportedly, one of the reasons for this band and this album coming into being was bassist John Taylor remarking to guitarist Andy Taylor, "You know, you're very underused in this band." Track 2, Murderous. Andy Taylor's lead guitar skills would also continue to be showcased on this track, which features plenty of Hendrix-style whammy bar guitar dive bombs. This track also does a great job of combining heavy guitar riffs with dance beats, a reoccurring musical motif for the majority of this album. Track 3, Lonely Tonight. This recording is a very effective and moody dance track, written by Robert Palmer and bassist-producer Bernard Edwards. This song is punctuated by a smooth, emotional guitar solo by Andy Taylor, who reins in the dive bombs and flash and just goes for some very smooth, sustained notes. There are aspects to this particular solo that I find very reminiscent of Carlos Santana. The tight rhythmic groove between Tony Thompson and John Taylor does get a bit overshadowed on this one, so be sure to listen for it. Track 4, Communication. This is a song that, in my opinion, could have easily worked for Duran Duran, but is made meaner and tougher by Palmer's aggressive vocals and Thompson's equally aggressive drums. For this song, Andy Taylor keeps the guitars more in the vein of Nile Rodgers, who was the other co-founder of Chic. That is until, of course, the guitar solo enters and he goes on full heavy Hendrix. And again, I also need to mention John Taylor's punchy, funky bass lines that lock in effortlessly with Thompson's drums throughout the entire album. This brings us to side 2 and track 5, Get It On, Bang a Gong. Make no mistake, this is a great 80s update on the T-Rex classic, and it is the album's other big radio hit. The band updates this track for the 80s, but doesn't forget what made it great in the first place. I kind of get the sense that everybody in the band knew that they could not afford to get this one wrong, so everyone is firing on all cylinders for this track. Track 6, Go to Zero. This is a song that lead singer Robert Palmer co-wrote with bassist Guy Pratt, whose session credits include Pink Floyd, Roxy Music, Gary Moore, Michael Jackson, and more. Thompson keeps the band pumping on this, while the interplay between John Taylor's incredibly smooth bass and Taylor's aggressive guitars are wonderfully contrasted against the shimmering keyboards, not to mention the aggressive brass section. Andy Taylor closes this particular track with another Hendrix-influenced guitar solo mixed with Eddie Van Halen-style butterfly picking. Track 7, Harvest for the World. This is the album's second cover song, originally recorded by the Isley Brothers. When will there be a harvest for the world? This 1976 track comes from a time when soul music was also trying to be socially conscious to the world around them. I should also point out that this recording was released less than 1 year after Do They Know It's Christmas, the charity single written by Bob Geldof and Midge Ure, released to raise money for the famine in Ethiopia. Duran Duran had taken part in those recording sessions, so remaking this track feels like a natural extension of both that experience and the times that surrounded them. The Power Station gives this song a more aggressive 80s dance take while still staying true to its soul roots. Just like with their remake of Get It On, Bang a Gong, the band manages to update this song successfully. The album closes with Still in Your Heart. Now, I have to say, this has been such a stellar debut album that I hate to end this review on a sour note. But this is, for me, the album's weakest track. The track is bogged down by a very weak verse. It does manage to transition into a more listenable chorus, but it's a chorus that feels more like a stronger verse with the song's title thrown in at the end. It's frustrating to listen to because they really should have started with this as the verse and then give the song a much stronger chorus. I will say, though, that the saxophone solo that this song closes with is the only part of the song that's really worth listening to, and it's the only really saving grace it has. I honestly wish that if they had to include this song on the album, that they would have put this song before Harvest for the World, as I think it would have made for a much stronger closer. This is the only track that I skip when I listen to this album. But despite all of this, the self-titled debut by The Power Station is a strong album that successfully manages to combine 80s dance and 80s metal. And it's great to hear Andy Taylor step out of the shadow of Duran Duran and really show his stuff. I'll also add that while these are dance tracks, they carry a complexity and sophistication that was lacking in so much of what was considered dance music back in the 80s. This is my original CD copy that I got back in the 80s, but recently I was able to find a nice vintage LP copy from the same period as well. There's also this anniversary edition, which includes 7 bonus tracks. Shortly after the release of their debut, Robert Palmer would leave the band, appearing only in music videos and for a few televised promotional live appearances like Saturday Night Live. He would go on to record his solo album, Riptide, an album I have never listened to in its entirety, but whose hit singles do sound a lot like Power Station, in my opinion. He would be replaced by Michael DeBarres for their live appearances, including their appearance at Live Aid. John Taylor would, of course, return to Duran Duran, but for guitarist Andy Taylor, it seemed there was no turning back. He left the band and recorded and released his first solo album, Thunder, in 1987. He also worked with and/or made guest appearances with other artists, including Robert Palmer, Rod Stewart, Belinda Carlisle, and Tina Arena. He would rejoin Duran Duran from time to time and has made some guest appearances on their latest album, Dance Macabre. As of this recording, he is planning a follow-up to his 1987 solo album, Thunder. Tony Thompson would perform alongside Phil Collins and former members of Led Zeppelin at Live Aid. Throughout his career, both before and after Power Station, he would work with artists like David Bowie, Debbie Harry, Madonna, Mick Jagger, Duran Duran, and with the bands Distance and Crown of Thorns. Power Station would release a follow-up album in 1996 titled Living in Fear. It would feature the original lineup. The album is incredibly overlooked and very underrated, and I hope to talk about it in a future video someday. On the 26th of September, 2003, at age 54, Robert Palmer would die from a heart attack. A few months later, drummer Tony Thompson would pass away on November 12, 2003, within a month of being diagnosed with renal cell carcinoma, otherwise known as kidney cancer. So what are your thoughts on this album? Please share them in the comments. Now, in a moment, I will be disclosing the title of next week's album, but first, if you like this video, be sure to click like, hit subscribe, and hit the bell notification icon so you never miss a video. I want to give a big thank you to my Patreon supporters who are helping me to make more videos. Patreon supporters do receive exclusive weekly videos not available on this channel. If you'd like to be a Patreon supporter, please go to patreon.com/TJR, the original. Next time on Weekend Spin, Paul McCartney will inadvertently invent indie pop with his second solo album, Ram. This is TJR. I want to thank you for stopping by, and we'll see you all in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.